Let me be clear, these are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And we have lost brilliant Labour representatives, people who put so much into their communities, so much into our party and our movement. And the voters have sent a message about the pace of change, how they want their lives improved. I was elected to meet those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
They want to change you.
Well, they've sent a message that the change that we promised isn't being delivered in a way they can feel, and also, frankly, they're fed up with years of the status quo. But we were elected to deal with those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from that and to plunge the country into chaos.
Did you contemplate that the problem might be you, that you might need to go to help Labour win these seats back? Did you even contemplate it? Did you acknowledge it as a conversation even?
Look, I think it's absolutely clear that the electorate are fed up with the fact that their lives aren't changing quickly enough. And this has been going on for a very, very long time. I think that we were right to emphasise to the country the difficult inheritance we've had, the challenges we face, but we haven't done enough to convince people that things can improve, their lives can get better, the hope. And I'm not going to walk away from that challenge. We made a number of calls which were the right calls in terms of stabilising the economy, investing in our public services and not getting dragged into the Iran war. But we also made unnecessary mistakes. And my job now is to set out the steps that we will take to bring about the change that people want and deserve.
PM, to be clear, you are not going to resign.
No, I'm not going to walk away and plunge the country into chaos. We were elected to deal with these challenges, and that's what we will do.
Has Ed Miliband asked you to set out a timetable for your departure?
Well, I think Ed Miliband has dealt with this and made absolutely clear that he supports me.
What do you say to those in your party that are really upset with you, they don't think you're getting it, and they're calling for your resignation? What do you say to would-be challengers and the party? What's your message?
Well, I think it's very important that we don't sugarcoat these results, so I'm not going to do that. They are tough results, I accept that. They reflect voters who don't feel that their lives have changed enough or quickly enough, and that's been going on for a long time. We were elected to deal with that, and I'm not going to walk away from that responsibility and plunge the country into chaos.
I've got a final question. One of your own top team messaged me this morning and said that you are the reason that Labour risks handing the country to reform, that you are the problem. What do you say to that? That if you stay on, you will hand the country to reform?
What I'd say to that is, we won a landslide victory in July 2024. I led our party to that victory. That is a 5-year mandate to change the country. Yes, there are difficult conditions. The inheritance was terrible. The international context is very, very difficult. But we need to inject that hope and convince people that things can and will get better. And that's why in coming days I'll set out the further steps that we will take.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling upset today?
I am feeling very much for the brilliant candidates, the brilliant councillors, the brilliant representatives that we have lost, because I know for them they have put so much into their communities, so much of their life into public service. And so I'm thinking about them and thinking about what we need to do to rebuild and to take our country forward.
Are you going to stand as Prime Minister at the next general election?
Yes. It was a 5-year term I was elected to do. I intend to see that through.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Well, I am pleased to say that Beth joins us now live. Beth, final question, then 3 more. Love the work. And one of your questions there towards the end is the same one that I asked to John Healey about this idea of it being Keir Starmer that's a drag on the party. He answered it in the way that you'd probably expect, with platitudes. What did you make, looking in the man's eyes this morning, as to whether he gets what's happening?
Look, I think there's a couple of things to say in that interview, about that interview with Keir Starmer. The first thing is he's sending a clear message to his party: I am not walking away. I asked him repeatedly whether he thought he was the problem, had he contemplated resigning, and he kept saying, I am not walking away. It will plunge the country into chaos. So that is his message to his party, to would-be challengers, to those that might today call for his resignation. I think there was another element there from Keir Starmer where he said he acknowledged that the country had not seen the change that Labour promised. He said we haven't done enough to give people hope and to prove that things that can get better. And then he said you're going to hear more in the coming days, and we are going to hear more because, as I understand it, he will be making a speech in the coming days and he's going to try and get that message across, try and inject some optimism into what has been a pretty depressing Labour government that has disappointed the public. We're seeing that in the polling, and now we're seeing it in real time as the first big ballot box verdict on Keir Starmer's government comes in. I think the question you're asking, though, about does he really get it, and that was what I was trying to get to, does he really get how upset people are? I don't know whether Labour MPs and activists watching that will think he really gets it and he understands and he hears that he really is the drag anchor at the moment on Labour. And I think what you saw there, he said, I asked him, are you feeling upset? He said, I'm feeling for the candidates that have lost their seats. And my goodness, it's going to be such a difficult day for Labour. As it looks on the trajectory they're going on, they could lose over 1,500 councillors once these results come in. That is a body blow. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be rough. People are going to be very upset. And he is going to have a battle on his hands. But I think what he said this morning, John Healey, the Defence Secretary, coming out to back him, this is the fight back from a number 10 that knows the Prime Minister's really in trouble. My final thought is it might be a stay of execution this weekend for Keir Starmer, but that question about is his leadership going to hand the country to reform? That's what his Labour MPs and party are worried about. And that question is not going to go away today. It's going to get louder and louder and louder as the day goes on.